This is a coffee bean. But how does it go from this to this? I've never roasted coffee in my life, but I know that there's an art to it. So I called my friend Tim at Make With Coffee Roasters and flew to Bellingham, Washington because I'm gonna figure out how to do it.
Why am I low-key kind of nervous to meet him? Yes! You're just as tall as I expected you to be, man.
Good to meet you.
Good to meet you too.
Good to meet you.
It absolutely makes me look like a short king.
I'm saying, man.
A short
You guys are
king.
twins. Yeah, like,
We're
exactly.
basically twins. It's the curly. In case of emergency,
Yeah,
break. Yeah.
Break glass.
He needs a brew. He needs a brew. Low key, I'm like a little nervous to like go and to see the whole process because I've never roasted coffee before. I need you to understand that I am not just doing this for show, but my baseline is zero knowledge.
What for you going into this is like, again, like baseline, like there's no right or wrong answer in some senses, but like, what's a good roast? A coffee you taste, no matter the origin or processing or any of that stuff, this is what makes a good roasted coffee.
That's a good question. Putting me on the spot right now. I'm like,
go, Jimmy. I think it's cool, and in a no pressure way, because it's kind of cool where like you who are in the coffee community, you taste a lot of coffees, I'm sure, from a lot of different roasters and origins. Even though my role, being in roasting for like 7 years, is like, my role is different in this process. Because at the end of the day, like, tasting something is completely based on recall. Like, your ability to taste and sense something is relative to your memory. So if you haven't had a cultural experience that's similar to mine,
if I've never tried a kumquat, how am I going to know that that's the flavor note?
Nothing.
Yeah,
exactly. You taste a lot of coffees, and you have to have. I'm sure you have preferences. How do you know what you prefer? Not referring to Ethiopia or washed or whatever.
I guess I don't really know, because when I do answer people's questions about roasting, it's always dependent upon origin. And that's what I'm so excited to learn from you. Okay, this might be a dumb question, but like, how much practically about roasting could you find out in one day, in one session?
Dude, let's find out.
Dude, yes, let's find out. Let's do it.
Our first stop was to a green coffee warehouse called the Green Room.
Listen, this rain is not good for my curls. Tim has the beautiful curls.
And I've never actually seen one of these in person before. Okay, so we're here picking up some green coffee. It's a big old warehouse with a ton of stuff. This is awesome. This is really unique. I was not expecting to come do this. There are hundreds of thousands of pounds of green coffee from around the world stored in this warehouse. And from there, we made our way to Bellingham, a coastal city in the northwest corner of the state. And nestled in the corner of State and Chestnut Street is Make With Coffee Roasters. Okay, so we're officially here at Make With Coffee Roasters. The space is absolutely beautiful. I don't think I've ever been to another cafe like this in my life. It's like white brick walls. There's this really cool beer tap. There's 2 floors. There's big open windows, tons of natural sunlight. The cups are beautiful. I can't believe that we're here right now. It's actually blowing my mind. The first thing me and Zach did was order some food because we were absolutely starving. And then while I was filming some B-roll, I ran into Mark. Mark's a longtime social media friend of mine who I didn't know was based out of Washington. And before we could film the roasting video, we actually had to wait for the shop to close. So we hung out with some friends, drank some coffee, and then it was time.
Oh, dude, I'm so nervous. Everybody's out of the shop. Tim, is it time?
Jimmy, it's time.
Oh my gosh, it's time to roast some coffee. Let's do it. I'm so excited.
We're gonna roast our flagship, our espresso blend. It's a good entry point coffee. The whole goal of roasting is like not only finding the most ideal profile for how you want to roast the coffee and express the coffee, but being able to do it consistently time and time again. Nailing the roast once is great, but like that's not what makes you a great coffee roaster. So the focus on our end is collecting data and understanding checkpoints of each roast process. So this main curve here is actual bean temperature, and you'll try and follow that path. The red line is an exhaust temperature, so it's reading hot air going out. That tells us information about how the roast will progress, what we can expect about the roast off of ambient, like air temperature, air pressure outside, moisture, all that stuff. And then the inverse that you see here going up and around is what's called the rate of rise curve. It's essentially an inverse of bean temperature. So as this changes over time, you'll see basically an inverse scale measuring data of the rate at which the roast temperature is increasing. This is going to be your actual temperature. This is the time at which that marker occurs. So at 5 minutes and 14 seconds, we're gonna call that the green is fully transferred from green color to yellow color.
Okay.
Which is this signifier of like, oh, we're actually getting caramelization. That temperature occurred at 326.9. So our main two focuses are, like on our end when we're creating a profile, is we start with a lot of gas and then incrementally decrease our gas intensity over time. A lot of hot topic debate talks about the importance of establishing a curve. So this inverse one, rate of rise curve, to be always descending. We don't want like ascending rate of rises, and we don't want flatlining. Ascending and flatlining cause different, basically roasting defects. There's words that get tossed around. We'll use the word like baking. And the biggest like differentiator of this Maillard reaction of caramelization occurring is if you were to throw a cake in the oven, it sits at 375 flat.
Right.
The process of roasting is dynamic heat change. So we don't want to sit at the same temperature. We're always changing temperature as the roast progresses. We never sit at the same temperature.
Can you go too fast?
Totally. You throw a chicken in an air fryer and you just like hit it with super hot heat. You pull it out, you're like visibly looking at it, and the exterior looks crispy and beautiful and brown, but then you cut it open, it's like raw as can be in the middle.
Right.
We want heat exposure to be balanced and have intention there. That's why we use time as such an important data, because if we go so fast, the exterior of the bean might be roasted to a color that we're looking for, but the interior might not, which will present vegetative or grassy, maybe overly earthy, peanut buttery, depending on like the origin.
It's because it's still raw in the center.
Raw in the center.
Okay, cool. Okay.
So if you look down under here, you can see like open flame system.
Oh yeah.
And
Yeah,
inside
yeah,
of here is the roast chamber itself.
Whoa, okay.
The chamber itself is spinning clockwise, and that helps, again, even distribution of heat. If I turn it up really high
Yep.
versus like really, really low,
Yep.
intensity, right? Like it's the same thing. So it's a dynamic rotisserie. Our drum speed is variable. We can increase the rate at which this is turning or decrease it. We have a pressure system, so how much air is moving in and out of that system. When you're roasting though, your main two things are gonna be your gas, and then we have one adjustment, which is your crossover airflow damper. If we were going for super roasty, we would close this thing all the way and we'd lock in all the smoky air.
Yeah, like a Traeger, like a smoker.
Yeah, exactly, like a smoker. But if I was like super clean, if I was like, we have a couple different coffees where we have really, really open air. I want it to be super sweet and super clean. So I'm letting air, I don't let any smoky air retain.
Whoa, okay.
But in our heirloom, like when we were trying to kind of pay ode and homage to like, it's dark, but you know what I'm saying? Like we're kind of meeting the middle is like specialty, but still approachable.
Yeah.
Well, this roast will kind of sit in the middle with airflow. A little bit of roasty, but really, all things considered, not at all.
Well, let's get onto the roasting, huh?
Change the handle.
Change the name. It's Jimmy the Roaster for today.
Dude, done. You're Jimmy the Roaster.
It actually smells really good. That's wild.
All right, Jimmy the Roaster.
Jimmy the Roaster, baby.
You can load it up in the hopper.
So now I'm basically just waiting for this to hit 380-ish.
So drop your gas a little,
Okay.
like down to like 0.1 or something like that. You'll see it start dropping pretty quickly. When it gets 380, you're gonna open the lever crunk.
Pull the lever, Crunk.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Pull the lever, Crunk.
With your left hand, 4 gas.
With my left hand, more gas.
4.
4 gas. And then I don't have to worry about clicking anything, right?
Correct. Not until we get to dry end.
Okay, so right now, obviously all the lines are really hard to read. It looks like this is dipping pretty low, but on its own, it will course correct.
I would turn it up a little bit, 4.25.
So I've noticed that ROR, that's what it is, right?
Yeah.
ROR.
Dude, look at you!
Yeah, I'm learning.
Right.
I'm learning.
Yes, sir.
So I've noticed that hasn't started yet, right? Like the blue line has not like.
Yeah, exactly. Because it was descending.
Okay.
So we're at 0 is the lowest it goes. It was technically negative. Now it's going to start kicking up right now. Because we're turning the curve.
Okay. So I'm at 5 now on the gauge.
You're going to want to pull the brakes a little bit there.
Yep. What happens if you heat too quick?
You imbalance of roast.
Okay.
Remember, like hot, cooked chicken on the out, cold on the in?
Yeah. Is that like, you know how sometimes when you look at like beans, it'll have little charis like on them? Like.
Yeah, we'll talk about that after.
Okay.
There's lots of things there. So I would say you can start dropping your gas a little bit back down to 4. Because your ROR is going to be above your rate. So you'll be picking up pretty quickly.
My ROR is going to be above my what?
Your baseline, like your profile ROR.
Oh, I see.
You want to match that up as best you can.
Okay.
Rule of thumb: if you're behind, you want your ROR to be higher than the line. If you're on track, you want your ROR to be on the line.
Okay.
If you're above, you want your ROR to be below the baseline.
So why is ROR like increasing again? Do I need to just drop my temperature a little bit?
Just a little, yeah. Yeah. See, basically what you can do is like, see if you can make the decisions to get this line always in line with that one.
Yeah, okay.
Using ROR.
So I'm quickly approaching.
Use your trajectory. So like, if you see this really start tapering down.
Yeah.
But right now it's kind of it's going to traject you, right? So like, follow that trajectory line.
Yep.
But you're right? Like your ROR is going to be higher a little bit, so you're going to continue to get closer to your delta.
So I've noticed I'm about a minute away from what is DE. What's DE again?
Dry end.
Dry end.
Yeah. Okay, so pull your gas back a little bit because you see your ROR.
Yep.
You've been floating around the whole time above it, which is good. Catches you up. At 326.9 is when things start getting yellow.
Okay, yeah.
So we're gonna check in on that. Our goal now is like, do what you gotta do to stabilize and get yourself back to the ROR on the back of the screen.
Jimmy, stabilize. I feel actually like I'm in a sci-fi movie and I'm the pilot.
Hit yellow dry end, because we got, if you look at the roaster.
Yep.
Yellow.
Okay, yeah. We have like a little golden yellow.
Yeah, exactly.
We have a golden yellow.
Put it back in.
And then,
can you open your airflow to 75% again?
Yep. So I notice I'm my gauge is like.
Okay, you're all the way off. Turn it all the way back up.
All the way.
Yeah, like 1.5 or 2. We don't want to drop too much.
Okay. Oh, I see.
Yeah,
okay, I saw that. Okay.
Yeah. So you cut gas a lot.
Yeah.
We don't want to be at 0 gas until like the very end of the rows.
Okay.
Get yourself back up to 2 and try and get yourself like more momentum again.
Okay. So that's happening because I accidentally
you chopped the gas.
Just killed the gas.
Yep.
Okay.
And that, you can tell
now I notice it's rising again.
Yeah. And your trajectory, right? Look at put you back in line.
Yep. So can you course correct a lot, or will that make an inconsistent roast?
The further into the roast you go, the less you can recoup and recover.
Okay.
At this point, like we have this problem, no one trips about this.
Okay.
But when you start getting to the end of the roast, you got to make sure you're like landing the plane. It's the same thing, right? Like if you're in the air on an airplane, you can afford to do a little bit of turbulence, but when you're getting ready to like land that thing, there's no room for error. You got to nail that.
Right.
Same thing in a roast.
Okay.
Gas up still.
Yeah, I noticed that's dropping.
The tendency, I think the tendency to like want to cut back.
Right.
But like keep your gas on. We're going for like a medium roast. So, like we want to have development. So we don't want to finish at a low end temp.
Okay.
So don't be afraid of the gas.
Okay. Dude, I'm so in the zone right now.
Dude, auto zone.
Dude, that's wild.
Okay, so turn your gas down to like 1.25.
Yep.
And a lot of really veteran roasters will say like, minimize the amount of adjustments.
Okay.
Like, pick your balance.
Okay.
Pick your adjustments. Don't sit there and like reactive. You know, you want to be predictive, not reactive.
Okay.
So now what we want to do, honestly, at this point in the roast, like, let's find that gas setting that just lets it cruise.
Yep.
You're in a great spot. All right,
like
so first crack's coming up. You see 389, around 390-ish. We're gonna start listening for first crack.
389, 390.
Hear that first pop?
Yeah.
When we get a couple consistent ones, hit first crack down there. Sweet.
Dang, bro.
So now what we want to do is we want to get that ROR, like line that thing up, and you'll have a good roast.
Okay. Basically what I'm doing here is I'm looking in advance to see this, trying to keep the ROR to line up with, right? You don't want to lower it. So.
Good, keep that thing at 1. So we're gonna get to the end of the roast at 230. When that reads 230, that's our ideal. We want this to read 417.
Okay.
Okay, turn on your cooling sweep.
Yep. Because I'm getting
close
to drop.
And then hold on the cooling air. Yep. Not yet. We want to turn that right at the last second.
Yep.
Get ready and cooling air. Hover, drop. And drop.
Whoa.
What you were asking earlier is like on a bean itself.
Yeah.
Even coloration, which is great. If we have the wrong drum speed, you have too much heat, you do too much air, you'll get tipping, which is like one part of the bean is like super black and dark.
Yeah.
There's like different forms where basically if the roaster is not calibrated or the roaster user is not intentional, parts of the beans get over roasted and get charred. Other ones don't get. So the fact that like basically all of these beans are like really even color is a commentary on, I think, the settings we work with and also a curve that really doesn't overextend. Dude, and before we talk about your coffee, let's get your coffee ready.
Yeah. 3, 2. Oh! I was like, wrong lever, Krong. Okay, so obviously that's the first roast that I've ever done in my life. Now I know I have Tim in my ear to be able to tell me like what to control, how to control, what to look for. So you looking at this, what are things that you see that if I were a home roaster, you would say, you see what we see there? Here's something that you could have adjusted for differently.
Let's talk about what you did well and how you can improve. What's cool is like when you roasted, your turning point was low, you're like, okay, cool, more gas, catch us up.
Okay.
By the time we got to dry, you caught up.
Yep.
Which is huge. Like that's like the ability of foresight. The main two things are huge dissensions we want to avoid. So maybe these sections are a little bit, this one's a little bit more intense. And then we have a flat line here. And that's what causes the baking. It's gonna reduce maybe mute acidity perception. So in an ideal world, this would have been like a straight line kind of down.
Like a downward slope.
I think what the biggest thing in roasting, what I was saying about being consistent is like understanding how to be predictive and not reactive. This is obviously a reactive period, and this is a non-reactive period, which is a reaction in its own right. Basically understanding how to manage your gas changes, where your dissensions are less extreme, and you always have a dissension occurring. Dude, but this is a great first curve. My first curve did not look like that, I'll tell you that. So.
Well, it's because I had you, man. If you would have had future Tim with past tense Tim,
Whoa.
Timception.
Timception. Coming to a theater near you.
Dude, thank you so much for this. This is awesome.
Man.
Now, tomorrow, hopefully, we'll have a chance to cup this and just see what it tastes like. Woo! It's the next day, and we're gonna be cupping different coffees. My roast is somewhere in here. I don't know which one of these, I don't know what any of these coffees are, and I'm gonna try and see if I can tell, first of all, whether or not the thing that I did was any good, like if I can noticeably taste it, and number two, if I can tell the difference between whatever that coffee is and the other coffees that are here. So, in remembering my curve real quick, so obviously my ROR had those little areas that were super weird. Is that something that theoretically, if I had the same two coffees, one that was like a really pretty curve and then one that was my curve, would I notice it in a cupping session?
You would. I'm willing to hunch like your curve itself was actually, in all seriousness, was actually like pretty good.
Okay.
So like that flat spot, it could be a point of concern, but I would say like that's still pretty servable.
All right.
But yeah, feel free to just go through and just taste it.
This is how most people who like cup, look at that, dude. Do it again, do it again.
Now I'm all nervous.
No, do it again. I'm gonna try to do it and just be like.
You got like you got the toe lift, dude. Extra energy.
Bro, Colombia all day, Colombia all day. Okay, this is the heirloom. This is Jimmy, maybe also a Colombian, maybe. I think Ethiopia. And then I think this one is like a guat. Okay, tell me.
Yeah, dude.
Tell me what I got wrong.
Actually, you did really, really good. This was your roast.
Really?
We had you roast that darker component for heirloom. This is our Guatemala wash process.
Okay.
Nailed it. Colombia. Natural. It's one of the natural processes.
Yep.
Nailed it. In Ethiopia, natural. This is the natural process. Colombia, pink bone.
The pink bone.
The money maker.
I could tell. You could tell. You see it.
Yeah. No, you had it.
And then what is this?
That's the part of the symmetry blend that we use, the washed Colombia. So yeah, you're 100% right.
That's awesome, dude.
This is well roasted.
It's really impressive to me how like, I thought I ruined it, especially because it was like, after I saw the ROR and I saw those two dips, in my mind I'm like, that ruined it.
But this is sweet. Like, I think it kind of goes to show too, when you roast, like I was saying at one point in our conversation, but certain coffees have like margin of error.
Yeah.
So like a curve that maybe has some yellow flags can buffer that and like hold round well. It's like good. It's like to me it's really, really tasty.
Yeah, and
so
it's like, actually really tasty.
Yeah, crazy idea. What if we made like a Jimmy blend? Took the Colombians that we like, limited release,
dude,
only
no
the
way.
select few.
As long as I'm not the one roasting it.
Dude.
As long as I'm not the one.
All right.
Dude, that would be, are you serious?
Yeah, you want to run a blend?
You're sure?
Sure as day. Let's do it.
Oh my gosh, bro, this
Yeah.
is a dream come true. I've had the best time here. It's been so much fun, and to be able to do something like that with you guys would literally be a dream come true.
I've always wanted to make videos that tell a story, whether it's roasting coffee for the first time or traveling across the country to chase your giant, unreasonable goals. You are capable of more than you realize. Thank you so much to Tim and Make Worth Coffee Roasters for allowing me to make this video. You should definitely go buy some of their coffee and be on the lookout for the Jimmy the Barista blend. Okay, love you, bye.